Hi, good morning. My name is David, and today I'm running a session of Fellowship. Fellowship is a PBTA game by Jacob Randolph. It's about playing heroes fighting against a dark overlord, or in the case of us, we're using the In Rebellion playset, so it's fighting against an empire. The players will be taking on the roles of scrappy heroes fighting against the forces of oppression. In the particular game we're running today, all of our characters are kind of younger, characters, kids fantasy, young adult protagonist style. And the game is in general kind of inspired by things like Avatar and She-Ra and the like in this particular iteration of it. This game's being run as part of the Gauntlet, which is an online role-playing games community. Can be found at www.gauntlet-rpg.com, where you can find about all the stuff that we do as a group, which includes running games like this over a calendar. We've got some podcasts, we've got a monthly gaming scene, forums where you can chat about stuff, and all that. We will. I'll get straight to it. We've had a bit of chat off camera this morning, so we'll kind of get straight into things now, pretty much. We will be using safety tools today. In specific, we'll be using the X card, and we will be using our script change tools by Brevo Sheldon, which has some additional sort of commands in it as well. I won't reiterate all of those. I know we've explained before, and we're a few videos, and I think that's fine. But I will just quickly ask each of my players to introduce themselves and the character they'll be playing today. And I think today we'll mix things up and go in reverse character keeper order. So starting with yourself, please, David.
Hello, I am David Walker, he, him. I am playing Kalliban, the Moon Prince, who is they, them. Kalliban is the hero of our story, oppressed by the other three characters, at least from their point of view. I'm playing the Nemesis playbook, which is a new playbook in the third, in the Fellowship Rebellion setting, which means I am playing the sort of sometimes failing, sometimes succeeding villain of the piece, supporting the evil empire. I'm like Darth Vader, but prettier.
Brilliant, thank you very much. And Alex.
I'm Alex Meltzner, he, him, or they, them. This is Kuryava. I'm playing Phaethon, who uses he, him pronouns. He's the angsty teen renegade runaway from the sinister Ordo prophetic cult sort of deal, Ordo Noctis, using the Harbinger playbook, so he can sometimes see the future, has a lot of powerful magic, and doesn't get along very well with people.
Brilliant, thank you very much. And Jamie, I believe next it's yourself.
Right, so Jamie, they, them pronouns, please. I'm playing Sabila, who also uses they, them pronouns. And I think both Sabila and I like cats. This cat is so adorable. Look at this baby. And so about Sabila. So Sabila is a dragon. They are very rare. And Sabila in particular is a hatchling. But their mother has passed on. They only have their father left, but there's a lot going on with Sabila's past, but Sabila is very earnest, very straightforward, doesn't quite understand the nuances, and quite possibly paid the price for it last time when they trusted our Breaker boy without question. So that's going to be interesting to see how that goes.
Awesome, thank you very much. And last but not least, Stephen.
Hey there, I'm Stephen, he, him, playing Ossian, also he, him. Ossian is the Exile, a former prince of the Empire who fled when his magic manifested and questions of his parentage arose, and turns into a giant light wolf, has a cat in his pocket. Yeah, I think that covers it.
Brilliant, thank you very much. So yeah, when last we left our intrepid heroes, we left on something of a cliffhanger. The Fellowship had been had gone to the town of Port, it's the imperial sort of fishing port of Port Sundown. They were there to deliver a message, but subsequently learned that there was an assault planned by members from the Coral Islanders, a small archipelago off the coast of the Empire and still currently free from it. They were there to retrieve something that had been stolen from them and was being stored in the tower of the Academy in Port Sundown. The Fellowship broke in to retrieve this, which turned out to be a giant narwhal tusk, in sort of encrusted with coral, with some mystical properties, as Sabila learnt. At which point Ossian, no, not Ossian, sorry, Kalliban revealed that they had in fact been disguised as Hans the baker's boy all along, and fought Sabila before, and that's kind of the cliffhanger that we left things on, was as Phaethon sort of came in to potentially rescue Sabila, and we will be picking things up a few days, a week or so maybe later. So what we will do, in fact, actually, we will make this official, and we will run this as a downtime scene. The way downtime scenes work is it's quite simple. There's not really much mechanical to it. All that it is that when you have a period of time when you're able to sort of recuperate and or not necessarily recuperate, when you spend some time sort of in either in civilization or taking some time to see people and do stuff, we can enter a downtime phase. The way this works is you will each get a chance to frame a scene, where you explain, setting out something that you did over this period of time of where you've had less pressing demands on your time, maybe. This scene can be pretty much anything, and I'm very happy for us today to do that. If you want to bring someone else into your scene and play it out a bit, that's cool. We won't necessarily be doing any kind of the mechanics as part of this. This is more just though building bonds can still happen. So we will do that. You'll each get a chance to introduce a scene. Then I'll get a chance to portray what the Empire is doing in the meantime. We can then go around and run through that again if there's still stuff people want to do, or we can then move on into sort of what happens next. Also, again, specifically given the as I said, what we've laid out, if you want to have your scene be a sort of a flashback to stuff that may have happened in the immediate aftermath of our last session or anything like that, that is also cool. But you also are not required to do so. Awesome. So does anyone want to volunteer to go first, or shall I just go through in character keeper order?
I think you'll have to hit us with the character keeper order.
Sure thing. So yeah, Stephen, if you'd like to, obviously if you want to take a moment to think something through, that's cool. There is no pressure to answer immediately.
So the idea is that this is things doing, I'm just kind of thinking about how we're framing this. Like, are we
right.
en route to the Isles, or are we back at some kind of rebel base?
Maybe we'll say to give you a bit of I said context for this to be in. We'll say maybe that you are currently all back at the sort of the rebel headquarters, which I believe we described as an old seemingly abandoned Imperial military supply depot, kind of a little bit remote, but yeah, sort of set in this sort of like semi-ruined, sort of overgrown with like ivy and creepers and stuff. There will be some other rebel members here. I think the way we described it is that the rebellion works quite sort of secretly in a sort of cell structure. So there probably won't be like necessarily a huge force here, but there will definitely be some people. If you wish to introduce any NPCs in your scenes, that's awesome. Feel free to do so. Yeah.
Yeah, well, in that case, I think that whether he wants it or not, I'm going to attend to Phaethon's wounds.
Awesome. That sounds good.
Phaethon is is expectedly prickly about that. I'm gonna say doesn't like accepting help.
Phaethon, you need to sit down for a second so that I can try to bandage this. Nope, stop trying to get up.
I'm fine.
Look, Phaethon, I know that things did not go as we hoped, but just running off wounded is not going to help anyone.
This is a scratch. This is nothing. I'm fine. Not running off.
Phaethon,
You were hurt worse than me. Why aren't you taking care of yourself?
I'm just trying to think, because this is kind of an awkward thing to say now. I'm more sturdy than you.
And that laugh is in character as well, I think. It's like, yeah, I guess you are. Want to find out? Phaethon sort of like, creates a little flame with his finger.
Are you going to let me bandage you if I say yes?
If you beat me.
Fine.
think that's probably we come back to that later at some point.
Do we just flash the next scene that you're bandaged?
Oh god, that is also very good. Yeah, now he's even sulkier. It's like,
yeah. So I'm gonna mark the.
He's got like a black eye or something.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Oh no, I'm gonna mark my bandage so you can heal yours.
Yeah, okay. Good to go now.
And I also heal one whenever I heal someone.
Perfect. Thank
So it was self-interest after all.
you.
I mean, it's just because I'm just sturdier, so I should be taking care of the rest of you rather than the other way around.
You cannot give from an empty cup and all that, so.
Would have beaten you if this were a real fight.
Awesome.
I mean, I think that there's kind of the eye roll that like, yeah, like I don't say it, but like, yeah, and if it were a real fight, it would have turned into a giant light wolf. So
Cool. Awesome. Thank you for that. That was nice. Jamie, would you like to frame up a scene?
Yeah, I think Sabila is, when we see them, they are being overly helpful. They're all over the place trying to help different people, moving stuff around, lifting up like 10, 20 crates in a go, running around back and forth. And they're using their new powers, the light-based powers, which I think I have an interesting idea of how that came about from Ossian, and also some new ice-based powers. So Sabila hasn't gotten the hang of both yet, so there's some shenanigans that occur as they are trying their best. But it's obvious that Sabila is just trying to distract themselves. And after a quiet moment, Sabila settles down, and I want to ask, Kalliban, what did you give me during our time together? Like, what do I have on my person that reminds me of you?
So how long were we together then? I'd like to sort of frame that in my head. I think
Long enough for
Sabila?
everybody to worry themselves to death. So like maybe a week like, before I got back.
Did this happen immediately after I took you out, or is this did I capture you again? What was the?
Yeah, I think it happened immediately. I'm seeing like this moment with Phaethon reaching out and then it not working, and Sabila passed out, being taken away, disappearing in shadow. But yeah, so I think it happened right after.
Okay. So Kalliban has been nothing but a gracious host, other than the dungeon. He would visit and speak to you often. I think the conversations initially start primarily being about Ossian, but as a relationship grows between them, they move to more about what it is that Sabila is as the dragon. Ossian doesn't seem as important to him anymore. And I think what Kalliban does, as we were discussing, he takes a small piece of the shadow that he's made up of and turns it into a small little prancing pony made of shadow, and leaves it when they leave the room, and it brays and moves. It's quite cute and tender and adorable. The toy of a child. We were probably talking about childhood and where did it all go wrong, and that's a point where he becomes furious and leaves it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we see that, and it cuts back to Sabila, and they still have the little toy horse that's also kind of its own spirit at this point. And Sabila sighs. I don't know. I really thought we were friends, you know? I'm not going to give up on them. Not yet. And they nod to themselves. No matter what, yeah, I've decided. Ossian and Kalliban are going to become brothers again. I'll make sure of it. And then that's where the scene's going to end, I think.
I think for Phaethon's scene, I think it's not too long after that last scene, and just Phaethon, like, if Sabila is still looking like at this thing Kalliban gave them, Phaethon is just gonna kind of come up and wordlessly stand there.
Oh, Phaethon! And they try to hide it. I don't think they're too successful, right? It's just this little neighing sound as Sabila stuffs the toy away. Hey, Phaethon, how are you? I haven't seen you all day. Where did you get that black eye? Are you okay? Did someone beat you up? I'll beat them up for you. You should have called for my help. I'm here to protect you.
What you got there?
Got where?
The thing you just hid in your pocket.
My undying love for you?
Besides that.
It's something I found. Don't tell anybody, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Please. Please.
And why wouldn't I do that?
Because, and then they blush a bit, because you love me.
I just wanted to check in on you, that's all.
Yeah, that's great. But really, that black eye, are you sure you're okay? And they get in too close and they're like poking at the eye unhelpfully.
Yeah, just like it just sort of like gentle but firm, steady, like just push Sabila's face away. It's like, are you okay? You were, stuck with them.
Yeah, it wasn't so bad aside from the dungeon. It was okay. And I think you really see Sabila struggling because Sabila themselves are struggling to understand what happened. And Sabila says, they told me how you tried to help me, and I really appreciate that.
Not like it did any good.
That's okay. It just so happens I'm stronger than you, but that's fine. We can get you stronger.
I keep hearing that lately.
What? Who's telling you that? I'm stronger than them, I bet. Where are they? Point me to him.
Yeah, you should do a contest of strength.
Yeah, I'm gonna totally win. Who is it?
All right, okay. You see that crowd over there? And like kind of, slowly directing and like to them to see Ossian like in the group of people. That guy.
Oh no, Ossian's stronger than me. It's okay. I know that. I can't believe you were trying to go up against him. That's kind of dumb.
If it weren't for the whole magic detection array thing, I could just go all out and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
You know that Ossian was a prince, right?
Lots of people are princes. What does that have to do with anything?
I love you very much, and it's okay to feel the way you do. And that's fine. And I think Sabila is actually like mimicking, because it's a very like mature speech, and I think it's something that Kalliban told them. So it really doesn't sound like something Sabila would say.
I don't think you understand. I really am stronger than all of you. But it's not going to make a bit of difference.
Okay, if you say so, I'll believe you.
Great.
Because love doesn't need proof.
Give it up, Sabila.
Huh?
I said give it up, and Phaethon is going to walk away.
Give it up, give it up! And they're chasing after Phaethon.
Awesome. I actually think I'm going to call that as a I forget the specific name of the move. I will look it up in a second. But the I think that's probably going to cause yeah, I think Phaethon, you can probably lose one of your bond on Sabila.
Sweet.
With that's the bonds that break us, which is when your actions harm an ally, immediately erase one of your bonds with them.
Boom.
That's in fact that is probably mutual, I think, in this instance, because I think that there's whether
yeah, that makes sense.
or not. Yeah, awesome. I probably would have added a bond for that scene between Phaethon and Ossian, but I can't be both.
Yeah, if only that were possible.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, and Dave, would you like to frame a scene?
Certainly. Can I just check something with you, David? The wizardly folk that we dealt with, or they dealt with last time, whose side were they on? Who were remind me of the wizards?
They are ostensibly on the side of the Empire. They are certainly considered loyal servants of the Empire. Not necessarily fully trusted, but
can you remind me of the one that Phaethon gave a good kicking to?
Yes, that
right.
was
Deacon
Hypnos. Yeah,
Deacon Hypnos.
Of the Ordo Noctis. Yeah, like I said, they are certainly considered. Like I said, they're the higher up members of the Empire don't necessarily trust them entirely, but as a general thing, they are. As I said, they are not an official arm of the Empire's governance. They are an independent organization, but they are very much a working in concert, and they in their behavior, they certainly follow the imperial law and the like. What they get up to behind closed doors, who's to say? Well, in fact, Alex is to say, but
Excellent. So I will paint the scene as being in what counts as the keep. Or it was the deacon's office. It has been or chamber. It has been redecorated with the banners of the Empire. There is a table at the center which has little shadowy pieces of troop movements that move and shift around. And across the table is the narwhal tusk with Kalliban are Legate Corax and Deacon Hypnos, and I think Kalliban looks up and says, "See, Corax, I was correct and far wiser than the Prince of the Gibeus Moon. Their weakness was never is never to attack them head on. It is to draw their bonds of friendship and break them, and that is why we were victorious."
As you say, Prince Kalliban, you certainly seem to have been effective in seeing off this threat, and I would be, and of course, I respect what you have done for the Empire, as I would, of course, expect.
I expect and hope that you will write to your father and tell him of your service.
Of course, my prince, and my people will ensure that any further traitors that dwell within this town are rooted out and dealt with accordingly.
Speaking of traitors, and turns to Deacon Hypnos, you're either, which are you, Deacon, a traitor or an incompetent, that just a student was able to best you?
I was caught unprepared, my prince, and yes, that was a failing on my part, but had I been better prepared, then those children would never have got the upper hand over me. That abomination they have with them, I
raises his eyebrow. Which do you view as the abomination, Deacon?
The dragon creature, of course. There is perhaps well, again, he is still wearing his mask, but there is possibly a slightly nervous gulp as he says that.
Kalliban leans forward. The light of the moon dragons has gone out, and no amount of hand-wringing prayer will ever bring it back. You have failed the Empress, and as her most highly ranking member of the court here, Deacon Hypnos, you will find that I am kinder, and I will give you another chance to help the Empire in its service and bring me the child who bested you. Are you capable of doing this? Will you take my shadow mark?
Of course. Your Highness, I will be honored to serve you, and it will be my pleasure to bring that ungrateful whelp to heel.
Kalliban's arm extends out across the table, and there is literally a ring on the finger to kiss, glittering in silvery moonlight. Serve me.
And yeah, he will bend his knee and kiss the ring. Corax is kind of watching on with that very much her face is set in that, perfectly stern soldier's mask, not betraying any emotion as she watches the scene.
And I think as he touches it, the shadow and the light and mixes all around them, and we see it sort of swirling And Deacon Hypnos is changed into their new action figure model.
Nice.
Says, and then he sort of, Kalliban puts his hand on his throat and says, the dragon is not an abomination. It is power incarnate. And it is mine to command. It will bow before us. Do you understand, Hypnos?
Of course, my prince. I understand.
I rename you Hypnos, Knight of Sleep, servant of the Prince of the Moon. Do not fail me again. And you'll sort of turn away and says, and be, for goodness sake, better prepared. And I'm going to use my trap ability as we see the floor give way beneath Hypnos as he falls out of the castle.
Nice.
Get out of here. And I think we sort of see a close of the scene of Kalliban looking out at the city under their control. And there's something in his hand that he pulls out from his pocket, and it's something that Sabila left left for him. What did Sabila leave in return, Jeremy?
Yeah, I think Sabila actually left a pendant. Like it's very small and fragile, but it's in the crescent shape of a moon. And it was actually a gift that Ossian gave them.
So he sort of clutches that in his hand and looks up and says, the only thing that keeps you and Ossian from me is Phaethon. When they fall, you will be mine. Clutch his hands, and I'll end my scene after a bit of scenery cheering there.
Brilliant, thank you very much. And finally, I get to demonstrate what is going on in the Empire at large. So I think I'll keep things focused on Port Sundown for the moment, as we see the members of Drusilla Corax's Legion, which I think is the I don't think I've come up with a name for them yet, so I will call them the they are referred to as the Special Reconnaissance Unit, or they're more what do you call it? Colloquial name is the Silver Hawks for their unit insignia. So we will see these troops are conducting are basically we sort of see them interviewing citizens, sort of searching through the streets and so on and so forth, and we kind of come into a scene of the legate herself is sat opposite a just a regular citizen who is being led away from her. They look shaken but unharmed, and she kind of as they've been led out, she kind of drops a sheaf of papers onto the table in front of her, and turns to sort of her aide next to her, and says, Lieutenant, I need real leads on rebels in this city, not people complaining about their neighbors and gossiping. We need to be precise, and we need to be precise to root out this treachery. We have not the time to interrogate everybody in this town. I need you to make the men aware of this. Do you understand? As sort of the camera zooms out on her. Cool. So I will open it up. Do people want to go for another round of sort of downtime scenes, or do we want to kind of move forwards now? Does anyone have any strong feelings on that?
I'm happy with more either flashback or character-driven scenes. I don't mind what the mechanic is to drive that, rather than
no,
into.
That's fine. Yeah. I mean, like I said, the whole downtime scene thing is a very loose thing anyway. It's basically just go around and do some scenes. So yeah, if people want to just carry on framing some more kind of character driven scenes, that is cool by me. I'm in no rush to drive you into further peril at the moment. So yeah. Does anyone have? I will open it up again first before I go back to the time on the tradition. But does anyone have a scene that they would like to lead off with, or if I'll say it again at this point, if there's nothing you want to sort of bring in particularly at the moment, that's fine. So I can sit one out.
I definitely want to role play through the scene with Phaethon where the exchange or the breakout is attempted. I think that's probably quite important to see.
Yeah,
but I've just gone, so I'm happy to wait. But that is a scene I would like to frame.
Sure thing. No, that's cool. Yeah. Does anyone else have a scene they would like to lead? Because I'm okay with us jumping straight into that if no one else has a burning desire to lead a scene before that.
No, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm also good.
Yeah, no,
right,
that's
let's
fine.
do this.
Yeah. So yeah, feel free to frame where you think this is going to go down. I will leave this all to you. Obviously, if you have any questions, feel free to shout them at me. But yeah.
David, were you thinking this is at like the tower where everything in last session went down, or like when trying to break out Sabila later?
I think let's frame it that Kalliban has let it be known that unless what was stolen has been returning, then Sabila's will face execution.
All right. I think where is Kalliban when Phaethon opens a portal to like through whatever the nearest door is?
Let's frame it back in that same room to keep down on the poor animators' costs, right? It's in that same room with the table and you know the things moving on it, and perhaps you note one of the figures that is used to represent the cavalry units is the same as the horse that Sabila has.
Well, if this is in the past, then Phaethon wouldn't. But but yes, eagle-eyed viewers, you know, the ones going through it frame by frame. Yeah, I think so. I think Phaethon has those ley lines things. So yeah, I think like you see basically like the door to the room take on like a blue outline, like a glowing blue outline, and then it opens up and like the other side is not the other side, and Phaethon walks through. And he has the narwhal tusk. You said you were going to make a trade.
Kalliban looks, and you can see the glittering white in their eyes, and says, "I am disappointed. I thought."
Why this time?
Why what? Sorry.
Why this time?
Given this artifact of power, you could have taken back this city, and you're willing to trade it. You're willing to trade it for a friend.
Well, I don't really know how to use this thing, so figure might as well.
Secretly, I think we know that Kalliban is disappointed. He felt he had to give them the opportunity, and felt that surely they would not, and has misjudged them. Fine. Give it to me, and I will release her.
I need to see them first. Make sure they're safe. And how could I possibly trust you?
He waves his hand, and shadow erupts into something, and we can see elsewhere in the city a location where he has been keeping Sabila. That she is safe and alive. I'm sure you won't believe me. Send Ossian to rescue her if you wish. And give him my love.
I will. Well, not the second part. And I can also send a message through mysterious means with wizardry. So, like, I, telepathically, I'm telepathically coordinating with Ossian during this, I imagine. Like, you get that? You get all that, Ossian?
I do. I did.
All right. You first.
I have come to the conclusion, Phaethon, that the only thing that stands between me and all of my desires is you.
Cool. How'd you come to that conclusion? It's pretty wild.
It says, this is something that we will discuss at another time, Nemesis. He grabs the narwhal from you, tusk from you, and says, but you are here in the parley, and our conditions have been met. Take
sure.
Sabila, leave this place. And he turns and looks at you and says, and tell her and Ossian that while this tusk is in my possession, it will not be used to harm the innocents of the Coral Isle.
I'll make sure to pass that along to them. Kalliban, you know what the Order really think of you? You're not the only one who's disappointed, Kalliban. Your brother was supposed to be the real Moon Prince. You're a poor substitute. And Phaethon is gonna leave. Peace out.
As you're doing that, you're doing it as a point where shadow is shooting towards you as Kalliban's temper explodes. As we cut from the scene as you teleport, shadow tendrils are everywhere coming out of the top of the tower as he screams. I will destroy you!
Awesome. Cool. Yeah. So I will. Does well, I'll specifically Sabila or Ossian. Would you like to frame another scene?
Like nothing's particularly standing out to me. The one thought that maybe I'm having is that we haven't really introduced the leader of the resistance yet.
Yeah, sure thing. No, if you'd like to do something involving them, that'd be cool. I will just quickly remind myself on the.
Oh yes, we haven't actually given them a name. They're still just name pronouns.
Cool. I couldn't remember if we decided on a code name last time, but I could be.
Oh, I think we were discussing it, but
yes, I haven't. I just haven't written it in. So
okay.
They are Eclipse. Oh wait, no, I put it wrong. But well, not that matters so much. But yes, they are called Eclipse. They are very much. They're very definitely using them pronouns at the moment because they are a. Eclipse is clearly a code name for them. Who they actually are is still a mystery. But yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I guess we kind of have a scene of maybe Ossian reporting, I guess really the failure of the mission part to Eclipse.
Ossian, do take a seat, and they are it's not quite. They're not dressed in quite the same way as the Harbingers, as the Ordo Noctis, but it's also not entirely dissimilar. They're wearing basically an intentionally shapeless sort of dark robe, and they have a just like a black face mask on as well. It's quite slightly less flashy than what the Ordo Noctis wear, though it's clearly just designed to basically make them as difficult to identify as possible. There's clearly they're quite tall, and they're not the robes they're wearing are quite bulky, so it could be that they are quite a large person, or it could be that they are wearing some sort of padding or something underneath it to disguise their form, basically. Which of those it is, it's not entirely certain, but they cut a fairly imposing figure. Thank you for the information you were able to retrieve. It is a shame it did not pan out as usefully as we could have done, in the involvement of the Silverhawks in Port Sundown. It is unfortunate, but well, we are where we are.
Is there anything we can do for Sabila? I think at this point we don't. I don't actually know anything of the stuff going on with Phaethon and Sabila right now.
Yeah. We we need to. She is so they are a unique being, and I dread to think what fate awaits them at the hands of the Empire. I hope that we are able to free them, but I am concerned that will not be easy. You are young, no less skilled for it, of course, but sometimes in doing what we do, we have to make sacrifices. I do not wish to leave Sabila to the fate that they have in front of them at the moment, but we must make a judgment call as to whether we are able to bring them back.
I mean, but she's practically just a little girl. How can we just offer her up as a sacrifice?
It is. Do not think of it as sacrificing Sabila. It is. Think of the other people we are, fellows that we might need to sacrifice to bring them back, to rescue them. If we can find a way to do so, then we will absolutely do it, but everything comes with a cost, child. It is a sad fact, but no less true because of it.
And who's the one to place a cost on things?
That is one of the burdens that I have taken up with my position, but everyone has to make these decisions at the end of the day.
Yeah, I guess that Ossian nods, not really satisfied, but he kind of leaves with his orders for this next mission to the Isles.
Sure thing. Awesome, thank you for that. That was cool. Jamie, is there another scene that you would like to frame up, or Phaethon?
I'm
good.
Cool. Okay, then I think. What I will do just before I go is we will. I'm going to do the result of the Imperial crackdown on your on the rebellion. I've just made a couple of updates to your sheet because you will have got some intel for the information that you brought back. So you're currently at 6 intel. But yeah, what will happen is I think at this point I haven't recorded yet. So for your various actions, you currently have a notoriety of 2. So the way this works is that the Empire will crack down on the rebellion. This is at the moment mostly looking at the results of the increased presence in Port Sundown. The way that this works is that I will you will take the rebellion will take a number of points of damage to its health equal to your current notoriety, which is to say 2. You currently have 2 health, so that would put you in an unfortunate position. However, you can spend, if you wish, 1 point of intel to negate 1 point of that damage. You can also spend 1 point of force to negate 1 point of that damage. If we were playing this out more in the moment, you will sometimes be in a position where you can obviously personally intervene, which can also help offset what happens. But for the time being, I think this is all going to be part of the kind of the what's happening whilst you're what's-itting. So I will ask: do you wish to spend any might or intel to resist this damage? Oh, sorry, force or intel to resist this damage. You currently have 2 force and 6 intel.
Oh shoot! Let's spend a couple of those intel, huh?
Oh, so yeah, you can only spend 1 of each.
Oh.
That's the maximum you can do. So yeah, but you can spend 1 force and 1 intel, or just one intel and take 1 damage.
What do y'all think?
So we can spend 1 of each?
Yeah, that's correct.
I'm fine spending 1 of each then, I guess.
Yeah. Only 2 health, I feel like.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. Cool. So we'll just mark those down. Perfect. So yeah, with that, then I think we will take a 5-minute break, and then we'll come back and see where you want to head next. So yeah, welcome back, everyone. I think we're in a good place now. So I suppose my next question is where do you want to go next, either physically or just in terms of the story itself? Do people do we want to sort of travel out to the Coral Islands as our next thing, or is there something people want to do first?
I want drama at sea.
Drama at sea sounds good. Drama at sea sounds excellent. Yeah, we'll definitely be we'll definitely do a sort of travel montage again, I think, because it was quite fun last time. And if we want to do any like additional scenes out on a boat, that's also cool. So yeah, that sounds like a plan. So I think you will be able to secure passage out to the Coral Islands. You'll probably have to kind of find someone a little sinister to take you out there, because that's always the way of these things. I will absolutely try not to just make them Seahawk, but yeah, it's always a very high possibility.
No promises.
Anyway, yes, the so yeah, I think we'll just cut into it. Yeah, I think Yeah, no. Tell you what, we'll do a travel montage like we did with the travel last time, but we'll say we won't necessarily arrive at the final destination with the conclusion of the thing. We'll leave that a bit open if we want to then play out some additional stuff that happens out at sea. That is cool. So yeah, I will just remind you of how this works again. As I say, it's much like the downtime thing. It's not really a particularly hard and fast or mechanically intense thing. We just basically each tell an event that happens on the way, and then you choose another player. They tell, and so basically one person sets up the obstacle or the challenge or the interesting thing that happens at sea, and then you you then nominate a player that you want to see interact with and describe what happens with that. Then they set up a new one, so on and so forth, until we've all had a chance to go. So yeah. Okay, actually, yes. So I think what I'm going to start actually, take my MZ's prerogative, and say that yeah, when the sort of the initial challenge is as I mentioned, sort of getting this boat. And getting a boat that will actually take you out to the Coral Islands. There's obviously, in light of the recent attack, naval patrols along the coast have grown in intensity. They're still very much at the moment. These Imperial patrols are very much focused on just protecting the protecting the coast itself rather than going out, because as I've mentioned, sort of the Coral Islanders are quite adept at protecting their own waters, so there's no immediate counter invasion, but defense patrols have been set up. This means that finding a ship that will actually be willing to take you out there is a bit of a challenge. You've had to kind of travel through the countryside a bit, so you've got to another port a little bit further around. This is a much smaller, just like a little fishing village basically, and people there are a bit suspicious, though you're not in the immediate view of the Empire's forces. But I think I'm going to ask. I think I'm going to ask Ossian. How do you manage to kind of get somebody here to take you out and risk these sort of Imperial patrols to take you to the Coral Islands?
I think maybe that there's some old treasure from my life before that I've been carrying with me, and I traded away to kind of seedy, probably pirates that we're traveling with, sure. That we end up traveling with.
Excellent. Yeah, that sounds good. So yeah, you've got this crew of ne'er-do-wells taking you out to the Coral Islands. And would you like to set up a something for another player to overcome? As I say, this can be like a sort of challenge, or it can be a more like an opportunity for something, or just something interesting to look at. Your choice.
Sure. I guess yeah, I kind of want to hear more of this from Sabila rather than Phaethon. I was just thinking who I wanted to ask it of. how do how like how do the sailors of this world bind the spirits of wind and water to their ships? And how does Sabila feel about that?
Yeah, I think they do it by singing these really awesome fantasy version of shanties, and they wait for the spirits to come by and sing along. And Sabila is just absolutely enraptured by the idea of this song magic, and insists that each and every sailor teach them every single song. And I think they're just running around, just insisting on learning it. I think some of the sailors are okay with it. Some of them are like, "Oh my gosh, this child! Like, please put them away." But the spirits are. It kind of has that feeling of like when a dolphin follows a ship, like that sort of vibe. And then they sing along, helping us get to our destination faster. But yeah, and then I will offer the next one. So Phaethon, because it feels so connected to your character type. What ill omen follows us as we journey across the sea? And do you tell the rest of us about it?
I think the ill omen is let's go with the classic one and just say it's unseasonably stormy. And I think I think everybody can see, like, oh, that's inauspicious. So Phaethon doesn't need to be telling anybody that.
Yeah, there's like a sailor that's like, this one doesn't have the proper weight behind it, like that kind of.
Yeah. But I think there's I think like the clouds are like an unsettling shade of dark green, sort of greenish, and that means something to Phaethon, like, and I think he's like, I think Sabila probably like bugs him about it, right? Like, what does that mean?
What's that?
What's that mean?
That?
So
you know what it is?
Yeah. And Phaethon tells them a story about an ancient spirit of storms that resents the binding of its kin to mortal transportation. And it's not entirely clear whether Phaethon is just doing it to scare the crap out of Sabila or not.
but the songs.
Oh, this one sings too. It sings angry songs.
What? And Sabila's like genuinely afraid, like, yeah. But Phaethon, you can do something about it, right? You said you were the strongest.
I mean, I'm nothing against a storm spirit.
No, I'm sure you can handle it.
Only thing to do is just wait it out. Hope it passes us over.
Okay, if you say so.
I do say so.
All right.
But you'll need to be very, very quiet.
What? I just mastered this song.
Or else you'll attract its attention.
What if I sing really softly?
Maybe if you do it below deck.
Ooh, good idea.
and I offer the next one. Do you mind if I frame something that would probably pretty naturally lead into like what conflict of some sort or drama of some sort happening next?
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool by me.
Kalliban, I want to hear about the mercenary or pirate group that you were a subordinate hired to chase us down. Was it your idea? Was it your idea, or hypnosis, or something like that?
Yeah, so I think we've cut from that scene to see Hypnos, and there's a strange sort of flickering light across Hypnos's face, but we can see that Hypnos is on board I think we did establish as a slightly sort of steampunky sort of look and feel, didn't we, to the aesthetic of the world? But standing on a polished wooden dais with brass around them, and we see that he is standing next to a figure that is, I think, almost stone and coral-like, covered with barnacles, and that with the crew around them. They're like stone figures wandering around the deck of this vessel. And we hear them saying that the figure turns to Hypnos, and I'll name them in a second. I'll have to think of something. But the figure names, looks at them and says, "The spy's intelligence was correct. We are tracking the correct ship." Deacon Hypnos. And so Hypnos sort of looks and says, "Excellent." And we sort of pull out to see this steampunky-looking submarine just below and down from the ship that they're on, following them carefully. Following them, and I'd like to use that as a cut to show signs of an approaching threat.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to call them the Pumice Gang.
Yeah, awesome. A gang of rough sailors. Technically, because I preempted, I should just have come in at the end, really. But do you wish to set a final challenge for somebody? But you do not feel free that you have to, because I think that gives us enough grist for stuff to happen next.
Oh yeah, I'd like to set a final challenge for Sabila, who's singing of those songs is attracting. Equally behind the submarine, we can see the stirring in the deep of a cat in the camera. But we see the stirring in the deep.
Other one.
This dark storm spirit has not heard dragon song for an age, and is captivated by the singing. So we see the spirit of the dragon awake, and the water is becoming even more turbulent.
I like that, and I think Sabila like senses something, and is like, "But what's that?" Oh well, and just unfortunately continue singing.
Awesome. I like that a lot. So yeah, I think I will just check in. I think it would be kind of quite cool, like I said, as we sort of discussed. I think that this is definitely pointing towards some sort of conflict out at sea. I think that's probably more interesting than like having you make landfall and then have it catch up with you, because we've got a steampunk submarine in the mix. So I think for maximum drama, we will cut to the scene. I think the storm is starting to actually pick up and break properly now. It is now clear that you are not going to, you are not making landfall before the storm hits. The wind is picking up, the waves are tossing the ship more than before. There's probably some like distant rumbles of thunder that you can hear and feel sort of reverberating through the deck of the ship. The captain, we will call him Captain Oakhart. Is bellowing at saying, "There's a bad storm coming in. Get below decks. You'll not want to be caught out in this." And kind of as but it's sort of as he's like turned around to say this to you, that will be the moment where there's a sudden like flash of lightning, and the just sort of like in the frame behind him, we can see this like giant brass submarine rising to the surface of the water, even in this stormy weather. These stony beings, similar to, if not as large as the golem that you saw on land on your travel here, but some of them are already clinging to the outside of this submarine, like barnacles as it rises to the surface. There are kind of little, almost like little handholds built onto the outer skin of the submarine, so as you are presented with this scene, what do you do?
It's Phaethon and Ossian who are above deck, right?
Yes, probably is actually. I think we said earlier that certainly Sabila had been sent below deck earlier. So yeah, that would make sense.
I want to look into the future and see if I can discern how this is going to break down. I want to command lore about the future.
Yep, go ahead.
With my new Oracle move. So my visions will tell you what will happen, but not why or how. They'll tell you either where it took place or when it will take place, but not both. In addition, you can only name one single person you saw in your vision, never more. I think it's a simple, short vision of the ship we're on, like, crashing against some rocks near a shore. And taking heavy damage. But I think that's all division. The only, I don't think there's any like specific other details. By cat.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that. Yeah, awesome. So yeah,
we probably, like, oh no.
Yeah, we probably get that moment of as you're seeing the submarine crashing up. We kind of get that like jagged line down the screen or whatever, and we see this sort of like vision with some probably some like swirly effects or something around it, so that we know that it's something mystical. And yeah, as we cut back, sorry, blank. Ossian, how do we see? How does Ossian react to this? To this sudden emergence of the ship, and what do you do?
Well, I think that we see Ossian yeah, I guess we see Ossian kind of bound across the ship's deck, and he is kind of shouting for the sailors and like trying to rally them to like organize them on the ship for like a defense, I guess.
Yeah, sure thing. So I think yeah, we will call this a wrong tab. This will probably be talking sense to them. Depending on how you're going about it. So if you're trying to detail your plans and their places in it, that's wisdom. Sorry, that's sense. If you're trying to appeal to their emotions or desires, that's wisdom. Or if you're just trying to impress, dazzle, or trick them, that is grace.
I think it's probably wisdom. I'm not really like laying out a plan here. I'm more trying to rally. Sure
thing. So because this is a because they are currently adults with whom you do not have a bond, you will be rolling this with despair. However, if Phaethon wants to help you try and kind of chivvy them along and stuff, then I believe you have a bond with each other, so that would give you hope, which will cancel out the despair.
I imagine Faith. I also just realized that the prophecy move technically requires time and safety, so I feel like at the very least Phaethon is busy at this moment.
Okay. Sure.
Like he's kind of floating, and his eyes are glowing, and it's like, oh, yep, he does this sometimes.
Sure thing.
So that is an 11.
Perfect. Yeah, that is a full hit. So that is on a hit. They do as you ask to the best of their ability, and that's it. Basically, you don't have to do anything else to get that from you. So I think what that will do is that you will gain a bond with the sailors. This will allow you to now take the sailors. You will have the sailors as a companion as they kind of get on side with you. I will quickly. I think that they have the. They have the. I think they just have the. Well, they have two stats technically. They have the stat which is we'll just call it yes. We will call them sea dogs. So they just basically they have a stat kind of to do with doing stuff on a boat. Unsurprisingly, they will also have the they will also have the group tag because it's a few of them on the deck who are currently sort of following your orders. So they are a group for those purposes.
Okay.
And yeah, obviously you have one bond with them. And we don't have a name for the ship you're on. The ship is the we will call it the Spirit of Adventure is the name of the ship. And yeah, so you can mark down the companion as crew of the Spirit of Adventure. Awesome. So I think with that, the submarine will fully crest above the increasingly turbulent waves, and these stony submarine pirates will start leaping across to the deck of the Spirit of Adventure. They kind of have ropes and the like with them as they impact onto the deck and the side of the ship and start hauling themselves over. It does make a big, even over the sound of the storm brewing, it's loud. You can hear the sound of them sort of scraping their way up the side of the ship. At this Sabila, you will definitely get the impression that something is up on deck.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think Sabila would rush up immediately, thinking of protecting Phaethon, who is the strongest, as he says, but just to be sure. I think as soon as Sabila sees, is Phaethon still floating, all glowy-eyed?
No, I think he's come. He's done having visions of doom now.
Okay, so but I think Sabila will rush forward and take a deep breath, and then you can see like all around her there are ice crystals starting to form as she's about to try to let out a huge ice breath to at least slow down because it's like they're boarding, right? Like a piratey boarding.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like Assassin's Creed moment. Okay, got it. Just making sure.
They're sort of swarming onto the deck of the ship, lashing this ship to the submarine, or that sort of thing. I'll also give you their. I think there's it won't be the full on Golem stats because they're quite nasty, but there is a similar sort of creature. I think that is wrong one. No, right one.
And how many of these things are there?
This is probably initially it will be a group, so technically about sort of 3 or so of them who are kind of on here at first. Here we go. Those are the. Yeah. Cool. So yeah, the if I'll note these down on the I'll put these on the companions thing as well, just for visibility. So the you have on here the cool. So yeah, the yeah, so it's a few at the moment, a handful of them at the moment who have sort of made the initial initial landfall, as it were. You so yeah, as I say, you said you're at the minute you're mostly trying to slow them down, which is cool. So that will probably be a distract, keep them busy roll. So a roll with courage. With your yeah, I think that because so normally when engaging a group, you have to pay a cost to engage them. But I think because you're specifically your ice breath is all about slowing people down, I think we'll sort of, or again, essentially using that power is paying that cost.
Yeah, because it uses up the ammo.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Yeah, I'm so sorry. I'm just looking for the role for your party. I'm like, I cannot.
No, I'll copy the link back in.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm so sorry. I was looking through all the tabs.
It's in the very first tab of the spreadsheet.
Oh. Okay.
I've also just put it in the chat if you want to logically.
Okay,
first.
I see it. Yeah. It was on the side. Whoops, I went to the bottom.
No.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna roll with courage. It's courage, right? I'm double checking. Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. All right, rolling, and that is a woohoo! That is a 14.
Wow. Yeah, that's
I rolled boxcars, so.
That's not bad. So, on a success on keep them busy, you buy them some time, and their attention is all on you for now. So, how do you think this looks as you unleash this sort of icy blast on them?
I think it's kind of like a My Hero Academia moment where like it's just too much, right? Like Todoroki, like just it's just these huge sheets of ice just like pounding through. We hear one like wah scream of someone splashing back into the water, but most of them are able to like latch onto the ice. I guess it's more like the ice latches onto them because now they have they're slowed, and I'm trying to remember. I'm looking at it. They are slowed and weakened. And Sabila actually lets out a whoops. Well, Phaethon, I've softened them up for you, my love.
Phaethon ignores the comment, and I think he's going to. So they're like all covered in ice now.
Sort of rimed in ice, and maybe probably one of them, slips on an icy patch on the deck and sort of falls down with a big, thud, and little bits of it crack off. But yeah.
Yeah, I think Phaethon, or what Phaethon is going to try to do at least, is touch the ground, the deck, and the ice will start like bubbling. And like start to like pop, form bubbles that burst with a lot of force, and I want to force them to retreat. I think. Cool. Let me look at the finish them options.
Yeah, I was going to say, if this is sounding like finishing them, and obviously their current slowed and weakened condition gives you the advantage necessary to press that on them. So
yeah, this might be actually trying to. I could see this overwhelming or trying to knock them out or forcing them to retreat. It's tricky.
Yeah, feel free to go for whichever you'd rather. In that case, it's similar, to be honest, at this
Yeah.
stage. So just I will say, because I believe currently you and Sabila do not have a bond between each other.
Yeah.
This will be a roll with despair because you're essentially playing off of their setup. You are essentially, that there is the potential
Yeah.
for your unresolved tensions to get in the way in this maneuver.
All right. I think the goal is to force them to retreat, back off.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like like these bits of ice are just like becoming a barrier. Becoming a barrier they can't like pass through without getting hurt, and that is with despair. So that's a 7.
A 7, cool. That's still a success.
Yeah.
So on a 7 to 9, you deal damage to them, and the sort of you lose your advantage over them. So I think how that you lose that advantage over them is quite clear. Is essentially this ice that they have been covered with. You're essentially sort of detonating that almost to drive them back. So that is now not holding them in place, but you have damaged them, and if now let's keep them busy, then not, which makes sense again as well. But because you didn't, because Sabila got a 10 up, they won't immediately retaliate against Sabila for this. So you will damage them, and I believe because of one of their moves, they have the move. What is it called? It is. Just wrote it down on the thing. So in companions, they have the move tough as nails. The special ability of this of the move tough as nails is the first time they would take damage. That stat is automatically the one that is damaged, because they're big tough rock golems. But yeah, awesome. I will just check in actually with Kalliban. Is there do you wish to make your presence known on the scene at the stage, or do anything off screen, or are you happy to just sit back for the moment?
I think Hypnos is my agent in this scene, and I think what I'd potentially like to do is I think
Oh yes, that's a good point. You will absolutely. I didn't make this explicit earlier, but you will have absolutely gained a bond over Hypnos, and they will be now acting as one of your threats. I felt that was kind of assumed with the setup, but I just thought I'd make that explicit.
So I think Hypnos's arrival on the scene. What Hypnos knows is that there's no way they could escape this if we were to sink this vessel. So I'm going to reveal so a side of an approaching threat as we see Hypnos using his newly improved magics to hull the ship, and water starts creeping around.
Nice. That's perfect. So I'll come back around onto Ossian. You have the ear of the crew now. You can see obviously the first this initial wave of stony pirates has their initial kind of not beachhead, but anyway, that is being pushed back, but they're still holding on. And you now seen Deacon Hypnos make their appearance. They are clearly, you can feel kind of the timbers of the ship creaking even more as they start to try and push against the make a hole through the hull of the ship. So what do you do?
Oh, sorry, was that directed at me?
That was, sorry, yes.
Sorry.
No, that's quite right.
So what's it that's directing through the whole ship?
So, sorry, I don't think. How does it? What does it look like? What sort of do we see Hypnos's magic doing? That's.
I think Hypnos takes his wizard's stave, and what we see is the magic of the Harbinger. I believe that we established is wrapped around with the gifts that Kalliban has given them. So we see out of the storm a lightning bolt slam down, sending wood going everywhere, and it cracks the hull, and we see water starting to pour up across this stormy scene, and Hypnos cackling at the power that he now possesses.
Okay. So yeah, I guess. And he's over on the sub, right?
Yes, I think he's stood
Okay.
probably like on the big conning tower. Is where I envisage him.
Cool. I think. Could we say that there's like a kind of sort of spotlighty thing on our ship?
Yeah, definitely. We've established that like having light sources is quite a big thing in the Empire. So yeah, there's.
Cool. I'm gonna go ahead and I think mark the Sea Dogs stat for the sailors. And I think that like we see Ossian directing them around to kind of swing the light beam over at Hypnos. And I think we see, and then like Ossian climbs up on top of the spotlight, and he like actually runs down the beam of light.
Nice.
Because that's the thing I can do with my element. I can run along its surface. And I think there's kind of the animation of like the kind of light shimmering and kind of like rippling under my footsteps. And yeah, I think I come in swinging with my blade at Hypnos.
Awesome. Yeah. So because you've spent the essentially the flash the spotlight thing will be granting you advantage at the minute, because that's what companions do when you they can create advantages for you. So if you wish to try and finish him, you absolutely can.
Cool. Would this count as me engaging him in single combat?
Yeah. He's on his own at the moment.
I'm not going to roll, and instead, well, actually, do I have to pay a cost to engage him, because he is part of your thing, David, right?
Yeah, so
I think the threat to the world thing is only specifically Kalliban himself.
Okay, I didn't know if Kalliban extended to like these guys. Okay.
No, that's.
I think like we see the blade come down, and we think that like for a second that maybe Ossian has actually struck him down, but we see he's actually like sliced through his staff. And I have a move called Strike True that when I could finish them in single combat, instead of rolling, I can just strike a decisive blow, and I'm choosing Beaten Down, that he cannot cause further harm during this scene.
Nice. That is very cool. So I think we will see your blade coming down, strike his staff, and a weird like mix of like strange rainbowy light mixed in with deep shadow swirls around him, and he lets out a no as he wields the broken half of the staff that's still in his hand, as the other half like drops off and splashes into the water below. And I think that is our where we will hit the end of this episode, and we will pick back up next time. So thank you very much, everyone. It was a great session. Thoroughly enjoyed this. So thank you all very much. I will do end of session moves before I forget them, as I am wont to do. So we will quickly flick over to those. I think we're probably let's see, Rebellion tab. So end of session questions. Did we strike a blow against the Empire or its leaders?
The last minute, but feel like Ossian did strike a true blow.
I'm probably going to say a no to this one.
Okay.
Would be my. I mean, like I said, I feel free to argue against me. I think, like I said, I think I don't think that this session you've done much to actually harm the Empire itself.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably a no.
Oh
so
yeah, Hypnos isn't a leader, is he?
That's right. Yeah, no, he's just a sort of a flunky. So yeah, it's I think that's probably a no on that one. But yeah. I think we've seen the Empire a bit on the ascendant this session. Did you protect the common folk from harm? Yeah, I think.
And the common folk.
And the final question is, did we learn something new about the Empire and its plans?
I think we learned that Phaethon is a nemesis now, but I don't know if that counts.
I think I named another one of the moon princes. We identified that Legate, what's name's got a father in the court, and that whilst Kalliban possesses the normal task, it will not be used. So we set up Dread be revealed some more characters. So I'd give them that.
Yeah, I think that's
like a good villain. I've been telling everyone my plans.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. Cool. So you get one choice off of the list of options. Each player refreshes one piece of their gear to its full value. Each player chooses one stat to heal, does not have to be theirs. And the Fellowship and the Empire each choose one player to level up. So what would you like to pick?
I mean, I feel like the only real one that makes sense is that level up, because we didn't really use much.
And there's one damage stat among the four of us, so...
Sure. Okay, yeah. So who would the Fellowship like to choose to level up?
I kind of like to see Kalliban level up, because I felt like we saw a lot of them today. There was a lot of nuance in the different scenes.
Yeah,
sure. Let's make Kalliban more powerful.
Cool.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So we can see Phaethon be strong.
Yeah.
And so I will put the question to Dave. Who do you think you'd like to see of the Fellowship? Who would you like to see level up this session?
Oh, that's well, that's a good question.
I know. I'm like,
I think it's like, I was easy, but no, it's not so easy. But I think it's probably Phaethon, because they've started a new rivalry between them, and they've had some pretty intense scenes with Sabila. So I think they've grown as a character.
Sweet.
Sure.
I think I'm gonna increase my blood to 0.
Nice. Perfect. Well, thank you very much, everyone. Again, I'm going to stop our recording now. We'll do a quick stars and wishes if people want. But yeah, that's thank you very much.